Wiley. Okay. Hi, Cindy with Piggy Princess Reads here, and I am going to shove two videos into one. I'm going to do the wrap up for May and give you my TBR for June. So, starting with May's wrap up. So I didn't read a lot of the books that I said that I was going to read. If you watched my TBR for May video, but that's totally fine. I read two of them, and then I also listened and finished two audiobooks. So let's start with the audiobooks real quick, and I'll tell you a little bit about them because they were uber awesome. So the first one that I finished was the final book in the Mo and Dale mystery series, and it is called The Lucky Stars, or Thank My Lucky Stars. I don't remember anymore. I'll write it down below. It's bad. But I love the series, and I guess one of the reasons why I don't remember the name of the book is because I was really sad to see it end, because I would have to say that this is probably my favorite middle grade series that I have read so far. Not that I've read a lot, but I mean, it is amazing, and it would be really great to use in a classroom, and I love the characters. Basically, you've got Mo and Dale. Mo's a girl, by the way. And Dale are from a small town down south. I can't remember what state. But they live in a small town, and they basically start solving mysteries. And it's a 4-book series, and the big overarching mystery throughout all 4 books is who is Mo's mom, because Mo was picked up as a baby and by a guy that called himself Colonel, and the Colonel and Miss Lana, they moved to this small town, and they basically raised Mo and her full name is Moses, is what Colonel named her. And she's been trying to find out what she calls her upstream mother, but who her real mother is, because Colonel found her in the midst of a tornado, I believe, if I remember right. So, it's a really good story. And then they have a whole bunch of mysteries that they solve in each one, and it's a great, like I said, middle grade with, and it's contemporary. And I like it so much. Yeah, because I can read that. So, it's not even anything about Lucky Stars. I don't even know where I got that from. It's the Law of Finders and Keepers. Finders Keepers. It's a Law of Finders Keepers is that one. And the mystery in that book is they're trying to find the lost treasure of Blackbeard the pirate, which is really cool. But like I said, they have some different mysteries, and the one thing that I really love about this series is that not only do the younger characters and their growth throughout the 4 books, but you can see change and growth within the adults in the series as well, so which makes it a really great book for families to read together, because there's a little bit of something for everybody, and it's just really awesome. But anyway, I've droned on about that one enough. The other audiobook that I listened to was One Tuesday Morning, and that's by, Mo and Dale is by Sheila Turnbow, or Turnage, something like that. Turnage. Sheila Turnage. But anyway, One Tuesday Morning, I am so everywhere today. One Tuesday Morning is by Karen Kingsbury, and she's a Christian fiction author, and this is, and she wrote this series, and this is the first of it, as a way to kind of heal after 9/11 happened. And One Tuesday Morning basically takes place around 2 families, one family that lives in New York City and one family that lives in Los Angeles. And there's the fathers in both of those families, they for some reason look alike, like almost twins. And they are both in the towers at the same time. And it's just dealing with what happens to those 2 men during 9/11, and how the families are healing afterwards. I don't want to give a whole lot to it. And that's also the first one, and I think a trilogy. I don't know if I'll read the other 2 books in that, because the way they end the first One Tuesday Morning was a perfect ending for me. And I think the second book follows the wife of the in New York City, which he was a firefighter, that's why he was there. And I think the third one follows the son in the Los Angeles family. So yeah, it's a really great story. And I tell you, I was listening to that while I was in the grocery store, and it was at the 9/11 part, and people were looking at me like I was nuts because tears were coming down my face. So don't listen to that in public, at least that part. It's yeah, they'll look at you like you're crazy. So those are the 2 books that I listened to in May. The 2 that I finished physical books, one of them was for middle grade May, was the Remember My Name, and that one also did the monthly keyword for me with the word name. And this is a really awesome middle grade story. It's a biography about how Monet Davis gets to the World Series, the Little League World Series, and her journeys there with her team, the Monarchs, and it's just really great. The reading, or the writing is so natural. It reminds me of I don't know what it reminds me of anymore. But the writing is natural. It's not an adult telling a kid's story, if that makes any sense. It's her telling her own story, which is just really awesome. And it's like I said before, it's got some really great pictures in there. Wiley has something to say about it as well. There's some really wonderful photographs in there too. And you know, I suggest this for any girl or that's wanting to, you know, play sports, or that likes sports, or well, I guess a boy would enjoy it as well, but more definitely for some of the girls. And it's got some stuff about history in there that would make some really great school projects as well. The teacher in me couldn't stop thinking about, ooh, we could do a project on this, or ooh, we could talk about the women in baseball, and we can talk about a League of Their Own, and we can talk about the Negro Baseball League and all that stuff, because they're all talked about in that book, which is really, really awesome. The other book that I finished is Dare Mighty Things, and this one was where this was a young adult, and she is trying to get into a space program, and this is basically her working her way up, or her in the training program / selection / you know, and it's just her mainly, but there are a few other characters that you follow as well a little bit, and it's just their journeys trying to get from point A to point B and get into space. And there's a second book in this, which I will talk about because I want to read in June, that concludes the whole thing. So yeah, those are the 4 books that I read / listened to in May. June has, not only is it going to have my monthly word challenge, which my word for this month is and I already found the book. I'm also going to be doing a readathon the entire month called Make Your Myth Taker. And that's from A Frolic Through Fiction. And I will post her announcement video down below. It's never too late to start and join us if you want. It starts June 1st, which is tomorrow, but you know, whatever. So, and what's really cool about this is you can basically kind of build a character, build a background for a character, and I love that. And there are 4 different sections that you can you start with, or you can, which is the so there's 4 different areas that you can go through: a rogue, a warrior, there's like the monarchy, and the sorcerer. Those are the 4 different, and you have 4 different prompts in there. And you can choose within that area. Like I think in the rogue, there's you can do an assassin. You could also do a bandit. I think a pirate is in there as well. For the warrior, there's things like a gladiator, a knight, and then for the monarch, there's things like a queen, the court jester, the royal spy, and the courtier, whatever. And then for the sorcerer, there's stuff like being a fae, or being a sorceress. I don't remember any of the other ones. Needless to say, I didn't choose from that one. So I chose to start with the courtier. I don't really know how to say that word. And for that, there are, like I said, we have to read 4 books. The first book is, or the first prompt is to read a book with a huge cast of characters. And for that, I didn't have to put these in order, so that makes it more fun. For that one, I chose Harry Potter and Prisoner of Azkaban. I wanted to read this last month and I didn't get around to it, which, that happens. So, I'm going to read this first for that prompt. And with these, you got to read the prompts in order. It's just the way it is. So I'm going to read this one first. And then next you have to read a book with red, purple, or gold on the cover. My dog is running around my feet doing things. Red, purple, or gold on the cover. And then my cat is next to me doing things. So you're hearing things. And for that, I'm going to be reading The House of Dragons. And I don't know anything about this book, but I got it from Fantasy Monthly, my subscription box, Fantasy Monthly, last month. And I read about the all that stuff, but I don't remember it now. Neither does Zeus. So, but, I mean, it's got little dragons and it's got swords and it looks really, really cool. And I'll tell you more about this later. So this is going to be my next book that I read. Then after that, we have the, I have to do the second in a series, or a continuous series is what it is. And for continuous series, that's when I'm going to be reading the other book in the duology, and the Dare Many Things duology. And this one is One Giant Leap. And this is basically her continuing. She wants to go into space and all that stuff. And this is her just continuing and finishing her story. And I will tell you about this later on. And so the cool thing with this readathon, as soon as you get to your third prompt, you have a choice you can make. You can either continue on and finish your last book as a courtier, in my case, or as the person that you started out with, or you can switch to another person based on where you started to begin with. Like mine, I started as a courtier. I could choose to either stay there and read a prompt or finish that prompt out, or I could do the final prompt of the knight. I chose to move to the knight, and the final prompt for that is to read about a quest to save something. And the book that I wanted to read last month was the it's in front of me and I can't even say it. The book I wanted to read last month was The Unicorn Quest, and I will admit that I did start it, but I didn't get to finish it. So I'm going to finish it out this month. And this is a really good book. What I've read of it, I love so far. And it's basically about these two girls, sisters. One of them, the oldest one, gets, or they both find a ladder in the fireplace of their aunt's house, and their aunt went missing, and so they're there. Her family is there, packing up this humongous mansion of collectibles that their aunt collected for years. And so they find a ladder in the fireplace, and they go up the ladder, and it takes them to a different mystical world. I believe it's called Arden, and which there's a magic system there that I'm just now getting into. It has something to do with, there's like 4 different types of magic. One of them has something to do with nature or plants, and another one has something to do with metals. I'll tell you more about it later. But so the older sister goes up there by herself, and she is missing. And there's a small village there that is accusing the sister, Sophie, of stealing this magical unicorn object that they have. I think it's like a unicorn harp. And they accuse her of stealing it. And so the younger sister, Claire, goes up and she's, one, trying to clear her sister's name, saying my sister would never do that. And two, she's trying to find out where her sister is. And so there's some other people that are helping her out with that. And that's pretty much where I am with that. And we'll see what happens. This is also the first book of a series, the Unicorn Quest series as well. So that should be really awesome. So that's what I'm reading for June. I'm hoping that I will be able to get through all of those. We'll see what happens. Some of them are pretty chunky books. I mean, actually they're all pretty chunky books. So luckily, the readathon, they are having 24-hour readathons every single weekend. So I think it's Friday, midnight Friday or midnight Saturday through midnight Sunday, or however you want to look at it. There's going to be, it's a readathon and it's hosted by a different person, which is really cool. So I'll be able to get some good reading in, at least on Saturdays. So that is it for what I read in May versus what I'm planning on reading in June. And hopefully this month I will be able to do some of those book reviews that I had promised last time. We'll see what happens. Maybe not. But until then, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or evening. And before I forget, please, if you liked my video, give it a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. Have a great morning, evening, afternoon, or night. Goodbye.